Hey y'all guys, welcome to the Tab and Dillard podcast. I'm Tab and Dillard. This is season 6, episode 11 of the Tab and Dillard podcast, and it's been a hoot of a season so far. This is like a radio show. Now what that means, if you got the Encyclopedia Britannica at your house on the bookshelf, you probably read up on this and you heard by now that the podcast is very much like a radio show. Now I do video my podcast still right now, so there is video on the YouTubes of what you're listening to, but you might just be listening. You might be on a tractor, on a bike ride, in line at the grocery store. I don't know where you at. You might be planting flowers in the garden. You might be pulling weeds out the garden. You might be trying to drop a kayak into a river. I do not know where you're listening to this, but I know that I'm Tab and Dillard. I'm a mowing, edging, grass cutting legend, and this is the Tab and Dillard podcast, and that's what you're listening to. And if this is your first time here, I do want to say welcome. You are welcome to pause this and go back and listen. There's a few other episodes before this one, but you ain't got to. You can just jump right in. Just like the deep end at the city pool and cannonball season, which is what we own right now. I mean, it's cannonball time. Jump right in, welcome. If you're listening to this on the day that it come out, May the 9th, then you know that this weekend is the Mother's Day. Oh yeah, you might want to mark your calendar. Get out your pen and pad and write it down, Mother's Day. You got a mama, you got a granny, you try to celebrate. I tell you one thing I've been doing is shooting personal video greetings for folks that is making them orders for the Mother's Day. I'll put a link in the show notes to that. And it's not just Mother's Day, that's what's coming up, but there's graduations coming up. So maybe you know a graduate and you're like, boy, I sure wished somebody could give them a motivational speech as they launch into the real world. Well, I wouldn't call it a speech, but I can give them just put a little fire under their feet and say, hey, get out there, march out there into the world. We ain't slacking off. Now it's time to hit the go button kind of thing. Anyhow, I'll put the link to the personal greetings in the show notes today. And also, with Mother's Day coming up, these Early Bird Gets the Perm limited edition shirts. I'm wearing one actually in the video right now. They growed wings and they flying off the shelves, as they say. So that's available if you want to pick that up for the Mama's Day. You see the link in the show notes for that. Pickle Boone shirt has arrived. Pickle Boone is here. So you'll see a link down there for that too. Been busy, softball season, Team Burger Shed, we in full swing right now, but there was a little stoppage in the action this week in town. Ain't no softball teams played in town this week. Why, Tabin? Was there another fire at the concession stand? Well, thankfully, no. Mary Beth Tucker has been mildly to reasonably behaved down at the softball field concession stand with her ideas. No fire hijinks with propane tanks and all that kind of thing in there trying to roast marshmallows or nothing like that. The reason how come there wasn't no softball games is because the spring picnic was this past week in our town. So what that means is Bud, he sponsors our team. He owned the Burger Shed. He's the MC for the spring picnic. So he's down there, and then there's so many folks, with a big event like that in town, all hands on deck kind of thing, that we didn't have the games this week because everybody's all about being around for the spring picnic and seeing that go. I mean, it's basically like a little fair, 1-2 days things. And so anyways, my gal Cricket, she work at the nursing home. We dating, she my gal. I mean, she don't live in my town, but she do work at the nursing home in town. And then with her daddy's farm, they live, next county over, but they got this big old farm. She deliver produce to the Burger Shed. So there's enough opportunities for me, even though I ain't got my 93 Ford Ranger, I got my eye on. I've been trying to save up for it. One thing after another, deplete my saving account. I don't know if it only happened to me or if you ever have hiccups in your savings plans, but that's what's happened. So between my bike and my ATV, it's hard for me to get all the way out to see her too often, but thankfully enough, she in town, with the nursing home and then with the produce delivery. So she was in charge of bringing a little group, like a field trip. Like the nursing home was doing a field trip to the spring picnic. So she had a group. One of the gals in her little group was Doreen Fundle. More on that in a little bit. A lot went on at the spring picnic. A junior cheer team. More on that in a little bit. Then it's a talent show. Is everything you'd imagine it'd be. what else? I learned that Hank Thistle could play the harmonica. Didn't know that. Hank got a burn pile going year round. He'll burn anything. He got a Buick LeSabre. He ain't burned that, but he parked it under his carport kind of thing. And it's not a tiny car. I'll tell you that right now. And he liked to drive that all over the place. And he'll pick up a little bit of speed even in them school zones. But anyhow, I learned that. What else? Well, Myron Curtis was down to spring picnic, and he was in the dunk tank. More on that. Meemaw decided to bring, this is second time here in probably less than a month and a half, I think, where she took her baby dolls out in public. I don't know if she just getting so like she think everybody want to see them, or she just so proud she can't contain them in just her trailer. And so she got to get them out in the world. I don't know what it is, but if you're trying to take care of these things, the more you take them out where a bunch of peoples are and you transporting them in your 91 Buick Regal down to these different events like spring picnic, you liable one way or another to run into some trouble. And Lindy Ray Mantell dropped Rachel Christine. Early Bird Gets the Perm when they had an event here in the last month and a half, but Meemaw recovered from that, and she took them baby dolls to the spring picnic for a little display, and that went sideways worse than you could probably imagine. Well, I mean, it wasn't Rachel Christine that was the one affected by this one, but Rachel Christine seen it. She might not talk about it, but she was there when it happened. I'll put it to you like that away. And my brother Brett was involved. And that's the whole thing. Folks said, hey, Tabin, why you always yell at Rachel Christine? And you might have heard me explain this recently, but when I say Rachel Christine, that's because that's how Meemaw yelled it over Christmas times when she realized Rachel Christine went missing. You imagine, you seen like a mama with a real baby in the shopping mall, a little toddler type of kid, and they loose them. Boy, they immediately start hollering for them and trying to find security and like putting out a red alert kind of thing. Well, that's kind of how my Meemaw sounded, except it was just that her favorite baby doll was missing from the shelf on the wall in her trailer on the baby doll display wall kind of thing. Around Christmas times, my brother Brett had traded that to a Rusty Tidwell for some remote control battery or something. I don't know, but he had to go fetch it back. But between that baby doll going missing and Brett going and getting it and returning it, Rachel Christine, I mean, Meemaw was just hollering for her like she had ears to hear. She can't hear, she a baby doll, but you can't tell my Meemaw that. She had a Snicker Bars party with them baby dolls last week ago, and basically it's Meemaw and her friend Tabby Jean Tipton and Claudia eating them all. They put a king-size Snicker bar in front of Rachel Christine, and then Babs Gristle get a fun-sized one, and Babs gives Rachel Christine like a sideways stare. You think it's gonna be a fight, and I'm like, Meemaw, this is extra, like you making up this drama. But anyway, there was some real drama with them baby dolls I'll get to at the spring picnic. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, Cricket get down there, and the nursing home, part of it with them field trips, they can be a little tiring for folks like Cricket, because you're trying to like get people that ain't super fast no more to kind of move around a spring picnic and go from one little event to another. And before too long, it don't take them long to get a little winded, get a little tired. Now, Doreen Bundle, she very well could be the exception to that type of thinking, because she always got ideas. There's a couple residents down at the nursing home. Now, thankfully, Cricket didn't have this other fellow, Dewey Morton, in her group, because Dewey's like the original prankster. I mean, he always trying to escape. He always trying to pull pranks. Well, Doreen ain't necessarily trying to pull pranks, but she got lots of ideas and lots of energy to execute on them ideas, I guess the best way to put it. And she won a goldfish at the spring picnic a year ago, and then that goldfish died, and she ended up getting another one. Her son Trot and his wife Sweet Wilma helped her get another one, to replace the sadness she felt in her heart from Captain Thunderboots dying. And then she got the second one, and she named him Captain Thunderboots too. She loved that name, and she loved them fish apparently. Well, she get down there with Cricket to the spring picnic, and apparently Trot wrote a note in handwriting and signed it in cursive, said, hey, do not let my mama come home from the spring picnic with no animals, nothing. We talking guinea pigs, rabbits, goats, goldfish, frogs, tadpoles, none of that. He's like, do not let her have no animals. And she still got the second Captain Thunderboots in a fishbowl in her room at the nursing home. So it ain't like she ain't got no little pet or nothing like that. So, boy, them allergies, I tell you, boy, mowing them lawns today kind of kicked it up. Anyhow, don't matter, no way. So they get down there, and Cricket trying to have to run interference because Doreen get there, and the first thing she wants, she goes, I need to get me a new goldfish. And Cricket said, well, Doreen, you already got a goldfish. She goes, I got one, but I ain't got two. And she goes, well, you can't have one because you already got one. You can't have them both in the same fishbowl. You don't even have another name for them. She goes, well, I'd name it Captain Thunderboots. And Cricket said, well, you already got one named Captain Thunderboots. She goes, well, them fish ain't got ears, and I could call them both Captain Thunderboots, and it wouldn't be trouble no how for nobody. That's the way Doreen put it. And Cricket said, Doreen, you ain't getting no goldfish. So Doreen's like, fine. So she go to that cakewalk. Now, you know about them cakewalks? You ever been to a cakewalk? Exactly what it sounds like. I mean, maybe it ain't always cakes. Sometimes it might be cupcakes, but some sort of baked good pastry. I mean, it's something that folks like. It usually ain't something that's kind of gross. Not like, well, fruit cake could be there too, but they just had regular cakes. They had all kinds. But what thing is, like musical chairs. In a way, like if you ever played musical chairs, like say there's 7 people, but there's only 6 chairs, and that music's going, and them walking around in a circle around them chairs, and that music stop, boom, you got to take a seat, and if you don't get a seat before the other people do, you out. Then they pull another chair out, and they keep going till somebody's the winner, and the one person's the winner. Well, the cakewalk, you ain't elbowing and pushing people off a chair and embarrassing yourself, being a grown person, pushing people and falling on the ground and losing a shoe or a flip-flop or that kind of thing. But you are walking on these numbers, and then when the music stops, you just got to be froze there. You just got to bank, I'm froze here because they stopped the music. I mean, the music is calling the shots here. I can't do nothing until they say, start that music back up. But what they do is that you froze on that number, music's all stopped, and then all of a sudden they call a number. And if you look down by your feet and it's the number you standing on, then you win. So Doreen Fundle, she won a lemon cake. I don't know if it's bundt cake or just lemon cake. I don't know that it matters. I figure they all taste kind of similarly. No matter. So she got a lemon cake, and she was pretty determined to trade that thing for a goldfish. She goes, I want to trade this lemon cake right now for a new Captain Thunderboots. And I don't know if she forgot, or she thought like Cricket didn't remember that the rules were you don't get no new Captain Thunderboots. You got a Captain Thunderboots. Well, Doreen was hot because Cricket said, you can't have that. You're going to have to keep that lemon cake. She goes, what am I going to do with a lemon cake? I need a new baby. And she's talking about a goldfish. She's calling it a baby. And Cricket said, Doreen, we ain't going to do it. Like Cricket learned with Doreen, you just got to be firm, look her right in the eyeballs and say, Doreen, we ain't going to do it like that way. And Doreen kind of huffed and puffed like, well, then I'm ready to go back home. And I want to see my Captain Thunderboots. So she ready to go back to her room at the nursing home. Well, this is a backfire. Because Cricket thought, well, these folks is going to want to stay so long, and I'm going to want to get them back to the nursing home. Well, it reversed on her, and they ain't there but maybe 24 minutes to the spring picnic, and Doreen Fundle, done. She mad that she don't get a chance at another Captain Thunderboots. She got a lemon cake she carrying around that she don't want, she say, but she don't know. She ain't tried a piece of it yet. She just mad that it ain't a goldfish. I mean, that's all it is. She mad it ain't a goldfish. Well, Doreen, it ain't a goldfish. It's your lemon cake. You the one who walked in circles, and when the music stopped, you was on the number that won the lemon cake, and that's how that go. So she kind of huffing and puffing, and Cricket said, you gonna wait? We ain't gonna go home right now. There's more to do. Well, about lunchtime, me and Cricket basically had a date. Corn dog, funnel cake, lemonade. We sat down and ate that. It was like a date, except Doreen was there. It was basically third wheel kind of thing. And she was like, boy, I got a lemon cake here. I was like, well, I don't want to eat your lemon cake. Why don't you say that you take that back to the nurse home? You know, you slice that thing up, put it in a mess hall. All them folks will be on that. The nurses will be on it. The residents. Dewey Morton will take a piece. He might try to stick it under somebody's pillow, knowing him. And he'd be the first one blamed if there's a lemon cake prank. Even though Doreen owned the cake and she rightfully won it at the cakewalk, Doreen ain't trying to hide cake under pillows. Now, I'm not saying that happened, but I'm just saying if it did, I'd go right to Dewey Morton's room. I'd look him square in the face and say, you know about that prank? He'd start giggling. Nope, I don't. He'd lie to you right to your face. He'd done that before. But in his mind, he ain't lying. He being funny. Well, lying ain't funny, Dewey. Anyhow, we get down there, me and Cricket, boy, I get the corn dog, she get the corn dog. We share funnel cake, powdered sugar on it. We don't have none of that compote on there, none of that blueberry, blackberry, strawberry, none of that. I mean, there's options you could have, whipped cream, all that. I was like, no, just fry that thing. It's just fried bread, powdered sugar, put a hurting on it, wash it down with a lemonade. We good to go. So that's what we do. Now Myron Curtis is at the dunk tank, and he's in there, and what they do is you throw a ball and you hit that little circle like a target, and that push this little lever, and then whoever's sitting inside the dunk tank drop into the water, and that's a hoot. Everybody likes people falling in the water. It's just a funny thing. And so it ain't like a prank, because Myron Curtis knows what he was in for when he do it, because he's raising money for the veterinary. That's where his gal Mary Beth Tucker works. Now, you know Mary Beth, she worked a concession stand down at the softball fields. It's a good thing we didn't have a game, because our concession stand worker was down there at the dunk tank, and her boyfriend was helping raise money for the veterinary. And I don't know what, they take care of animals down at the veterinary, so I don't know if they raising money for horse shirts. I don't know that a horse wears a shirt. I've seen sweaters for dogs. I don't know what kind of extra things they need down there, unless it's like medical supplies, like kitty cat band-aids, or casts or braces for like a bobcat that sprained his elbow or his leg bow, like knee, I guess is what they call them on bobcats. I don't know. I ain't a betologist. I ain't an animal expert. I just know that Myron Curtis was going to fall into the dunk tank, and then in return, like somehow magically the veterinary makes money or whatever. So he was and he carried some girth. That's just how Myron do. So a pretty good splashdown when he would get dunked, and that's real entertaining for everybody, the kids. But I ain't going to just put the kids in that category, because me and Cricket got a real good laugh out of seeing Myron drop in there too. And he like to hold his nose. He pinch his nose on the way in so it don't go up his nose. He take it pretty seriously. He wore little goggles, but they too tight. They steady hugging his face, boy. I mean, there was like a bear hug on his face. He took them off, and I said, boy, you're going to have permanent goggle imprints on that chubby face of yours, Myron, kind of thing. I said it like that. He goes, well, I think that's a little too tight, but I didn't want no water in there. I'll tell you right now, Tavin, not any water got in them goggles. I was like, well, you winning then. He goes, sure am. Because, you think about it, he's helping his wife, or his girlfriend, Mary Beth Tucker, he's helping her work, so he winning points with her, and then he entertaining everybody, and then he's getting cooled off. I'm telling you, them April showers brought my flowers, but that sunshine coming out too. And so Myron ain't dumb. He know what he doing. He having a good time. So we all down there. I saw different fellas on the softball team, and we had the day off. No softball games this week, so we enjoying our time in the sun, Myron's time in the water. It was great. We have a good time. Well, then there's this little the performance stage, or whatever they call it, Bud's emceeing, and he announced a junior cheer team kind of thing. And so that's Maisley Grubbs, that's Shane and Cheryl Grubbs' daughter. Shane Cheryl, they own donut goes in town, and Maisley got a little brother named Perry Lee. He's on a t-ball team I assistant coached earlier in the year, but she on a dance team. Her mama coached the junior cheer team. Well, they had a whole routine to a Hank Williams Sr. song. And them songs ain't got the fastest beats. They ain't like maybe them popular modern day dance song kind of thing, but they put together a little routine, and they did it all the way to the Hank Williams Sr. song. They did pretty good. And Cheryl in the front row, how she kind of giving them the signals, like, now you put your hands up, now you do this, the kind of thing. So she there doing that, but I don't know that Maisley ever looked at her mom. She memorized it. Got on a little unitard, and she up there with a headband on, and they doing this routine. That's how it go. That's when I learned Hank Thistle knowed how to work the harmonica. Because all out of the blue, out of nowhere, they play into a Hank Williams Sr. track, and them gals on stage dancing and whatnot, and I just hear a little harmonica out of this clear blue sky, and there's Hank Thistle over there just with that harmonica, just making it sing, So good on you, Hank. That's the thing about the spring picnics. You learn things about folks in town you didn't know about. I mean, I didn't know that. Did I know he drove to La Sabra? I sure did. Did I know he had a burn pile? You better believe it. Did I know he played the harmonica? No, not till the spring picnic. So I'm down there now. This is the part. Well, they had the talent show, and so Cheryl Grubbs, not to be outdone by her daughter Maisley, you know, she used to be a cheerleader in high school, and she get an opportunity to perform like that. She going to too. So Cheryl Grubbs, Justine Dunlap, Shailene Riggs, they did a whole kind of dance, choreographed medley to a whole bunch of Kenny Rogers songs. Like they edited, like medleyed his songs together, so it wasn't like, you know, Maisley and her little junior cheer crew. They did one song, you know, just one Hank Williams Sr. song. But Cheryl and Justine and Shailene, they did a whole Kenny Rogers medley. And you know, Cheryl might have been more limber in high school. I guess we all were. She carried a little weight with her now. I mean, she worked a donut store, so she get free donuts, but she's still pretty limber. But she tried to do a high kick. I mean, I think she just felt the music and she thought, boy, I can really showboat. And she tried to kick her foot about as high as her head. Boy, her hamstrings said no, thank you. And then you could tell she might have pulled something or maybe it's hurt, but she kept a smile because she a performer. You know, them dancers, they just keep smiling and they keep shaking, and she kind of like shake her shoulders and just kind of twist in a circle, like stuff that you can still do that look like dancing, but it ain't the big moves no more. And she carried on. They finished that whole medley. I mean, you think about it. You take that time to put all them moves together to all them string of songs. You ain't gonna let a high kick keep you down. And it very well could have. And I don't know if it was just a muscle pull that turned into like a leg bruise, or, you know, again, I don't know. I ain't a legologist. I just know that her little leg couldn't do that twice. She got one good kick in, and then she had to just shimmer and shake her shoulders the rest of the time, kind of smile and all that kind of thing. And they finished it off though. They got a lot of clapping, a lot of applause. Only people that weren't applauding was, you know, if they was holding a funnel cake in one hand, because that'll make a mess, and you can't even really hear the clap anyhow, because you just hitting that fried bread. So then there's all kind of talents, and Bud's emceeing, you know, and I'm afraid he's gonna lose his voice because he really get into it. Even though he got a microphone, he kind of talk like he ain't got a microphone. It's like, Bud, just ease it back, you know, dial it back a little bit. Well, you save yourself, you know, kind of thing. But he's getting into it, and then there's a little display, and my Meemaw brought Becky Thacker Haynes. She brought Beatrice Gail Merton. She brought Babs Gristle, and she brought Rachel Christine. And there's some little display that, you know, one of them tents, it's just like a easy up kind of thing, like a four corners, and, you know, high metal legs, and then you got a table under there, and then you got displays, and it's like, oh, these are my baby dolls. I don't know what else there was. I don't know that Meemaw was giving anything away for free. She certainly wasn't giving no baby dolls away. Them her like prized possessions kind of thing. But I do know that my brother Brett showed up. I don't know when. I don't know. I did hear some commotion by the corn dog stand, and apparently he somehow got in there or reached in there and got out with a corn dog. They had a hard time proving it because, of course, he probably ate it and he threw the stick away. So, you know, and he didn't have time to grab no mustard ketchup, so he didn't have no mustard on his face where they could say, "Ha ha, it's you," you know. But everybody pretty sure he's the one that stole it. And then he thought it'd be funny to take one of Meemaw's baby dolls. Can you believe this? Can you believe I'm even saying this? My brother Brett, who already got busted by her over Christmas time for taking Rachel Christine, decided, oh, it's going to be funny if I take Babs Gristle and put her in a dunk tank. Well, you know what he did? He took Babs Gristle and he put her in a dunk tank. And I don't mean he set her on the little seat where Myron Curtis had been. Myron was on lunch break or I don't know what. I mean, he just went over there and throwed that little baby doll in and she starts sinking. Apparently, Babs Gristle can't swim. Now, she can dig post holes and spot a poisonous snake from 50 yards away, but they didn't need her to do that today. They needed her to swim. Well, I tell you right now, boy, Meemaw about jerked a knot in his tail. Boy, when she found that out, I mean, you would have thought Mabel Childers showed up early to water aerobics class and said something mean to Meemaw, but no, Meemaw was hotter than a firecracker. She hollered at Brett, and boy, there's one thing, my Brett don't have respect for much in this world, but when Meemaw tells him something, he do it. and he had to go in that dunk tank, and he had to get out Babs Gristle, and he had to find a blow dryer. I still don't know where he found a blow dryer at the spring picnic. Maybe he went somewhere to somebody's house. I don't know. There's a good chance he didn't ask for it. I mean, if you ain't going to ask for a corn dog, or if you can borrow Babs Gristle, you probably ain't going to ask if you can borrow a hair dryer. But he had one, because he had to blow dry her. He had to dry her off, blow dry it, and comb her hair, and write her an apology note. That's all the things. Mima was hot. I mean, she was fired up. I seen her mad, and this is up there with the maddest kind of thing. And then Brett disappeared. I mean, that's typical Brett. He was out of there. Showed up, caused some trouble, wreaked some havoc, and he gone. I don't know where he's at. And she thinks Babs is going to be okay. And I'm like, well, it's a baby doll, Mima. But, you know, I only say that in my head. I didn't say that to her. I'm like, well, I'm glad you got her back. And thankfully nothing happened to Rachel Christine. Or any of the other ones, Beatrice Go, Merton, Becky Thacker Haynes, none of them. So, I mean, all of a sudden it goes from a quiet, you know, oh, there's the junior cheer team. Oh, there's Cheryl Grubbs trying to kick too high. Hey, Hank Thistle can play the harmonica. Oh, yeah, Doreen, sit with me and my gal Cricket while we try to eat our lunch and you try to push a lemon cake onto us kind of thing and say, hey, try some cake. Don't you want a cake? Don't you want to trade it for Captain Thunderboots? It goes from all of that to, boy, red alert. Mima's baby doll go missing, and then it go drowning, and then it gets saved, and then, boy, she just tired. She wore out. Emotionally drained Mima, as you can imagine. She's emotionally drained. Emotionally, she didn't have nothing left. She couldn't give nothing emotionally. Like if Tabby Jean Tipton, her best friend, showed up and said, hey, I think my husband sprained his ankle. I just need somebody to help me get him to the doctor. I don't know if Mima could do anything to emotionally support her friend, emotionally, because that Babs Gristle episode emotionally took it out of her. I mean, it just did, kind of thing. But, you know, they did have some deep fried Snickers, which that's a new one for our just spring picnic. I mean, county fair, state fair, you're going to find that. And if there's anything that puts a smile on the face more than a Big Mac, it's a Snicker bars for my Mima. So things turned around eventually, and the fact that Babs Gristle's probably going to get over it. Mima did say she might need to give her swim lessons this summer. And I don't know, maybe talk to Coach Hicks about that and take Babs down to the city pool. But I'll tell you right now, you know, Coach Hicks runs Thunder Punch, the boxing gym in town. I'm just thinking in my head, Mima, you bring a baby doll down to the city pool and ask Coach Hicks to give us swim lessons. Oh, I can only believe the circuits. I can't even imagine what Coach Hicks would say to my Mima. I mean, he'd try to be nice, but he probably wouldn't sugarcoat it too much. But I'd like to be there. Anyway, for whatever might happen. So, Cricket had to get everybody back, you know. It was basically, Doreen was the main one she had to work. The other residents that Cricket had, she only had 2 other ones with her. They were little groups because, you know, you don't want to lose nobody. And so different folks from the nursing home that worked there had just, you know, a couple, 2, 3 folks to hang with at the spring picnic. Well, Cricket finds like, I got to get back over there, Tab. And I was like, I don't blame you. And get Doreen back home with that lemon cake and, you know, take it back there. So she went back. I don't know if she's going to try to feed Captain Thunderboots any of that lemon cake, or I can't imagine he'd want none of it, but maybe she think he'd be proud, you know, that she did win a cake. I don't know how that went, but Cricket had to go back there, and I was done. Myron was done. He got dried off, and, you know, we seen Rance Farnhart and JT Whitlow, and he was with his gal Whitney. That's Cody Mantell's cousin. Everybody down there, you know, it was a good day. But I ended up meeting up with Cricket, anyhow, down at the burger shed at the end of the day. You know, Bud was down there. He had some hot tea, you know, because his throat was about shot after doing all that he did down at the spring picnic. So he had a little hot tea, and then me and Cricket got to order off the secret menu you might already know about, but they biscuits and gravy, and that's any time of day if you know to ask for it, but you ain't gonna see it on no menu. And Bud ain't promoting it. It ain't in the weekly mailers. I'll tell you that right now. But it's good. We put a hurting on that. I mean, so it was a good day. I mean, if I'm gonna take a break from playing adult softball with Team Burger Shed, I think the spring picnic was the way to go. From what I hear, Cheryl's gonna be okay. She's walking with a little bit of a limp. Good thing she didn't bring her doggy Jalapeno down there, because that thing would have got loose. There ain't no two ways about it. And she just, her natural instinct is to chase that doggy. And that would have made everything worse if she had to chase Jalapeno through the spring picnic. And who knows, Doreen Fundle might have found that dog and said, oh, this is my new doggy. I'm going to take it home. Of course, Trot, he wrote that handwritten note, signed it in cursive. It was like, don't let my mama come home with nothing live. So she didn't. Just lemon cake and herself. And so I think that was a real big win. I'm proud of Cricket for all the work she did, and she ended up with some biscuits and gravy from the burger shed. So if you ain't going to say that's a good day, I don't know what a good day is then. I mean, we had a hoot of a time. It's big, and it's only getting busier, as we crank right into the merry month of May and looking into this summer. It's only going to get busier. But I will say, I sure appreciate y'all hanging out with me today on the Tab and Dillard podcast. Like I said, this is season 6, episode 11. We having a hoot of a time over here. Basically, a hoot of a time. I mean, you can catch up with me on the TikToks and the Instagrams and the YouTubes and the Facebooks. I'm on all of them, and I'm putting a video up about every day on the Instagrams and the TikToks, and usually on the Facebook every day, and usually on the YouTubes every day. So, anyhow, you can find me there. And am I working on other stuff? I am working on other stuff. There's some maybe some announcements soon, or some other things that are cooking in the kitchen, kind of thing that I'll share with y'all. But right now, I mean, it's them videos, and then of course the podcast, which is like a radio show, and I don't have to tell you where to find it because you're listening to it right now. So you found it. So congratulations on that. And I do see a little pickle boom on the horizon of the old another bag of bacon. Tabin's bacon bag may be available here later in the merry month of May. But more on that as I know. But I'm just saying what I see on the horizon. Okay, so that's it. I appreciate y'all joining me today on the Tab and Dillard podcast. Check them show notes, because what you're gonna find there, let me tell you right now what you're going to find there. What you're going to find there is a few links. Personal video greetings. You need one for mama. You need one for the graduate in your life. Hey, holler at me. You'll see the link right there. What else are you looking at? Oh, there's the limited edition Early Bird Gets the Perm shirt. Know about that? Well, I'm wearing it right now. Tell you that. Look at that. Bank, bank. And then what else? Pickle Boone. Pickle Boone shirt is available too. You can also email me with the business inquiries, tabanddillard@gmail.com. Tabin, when you're doing live shows, folks keep asking me. Looks like I'm going to be in Oklahoma and Arkansas in late July. So if you end up what might be the Tulsa, Newkirk, maybe Conway, maybe Hardy, Arkansas, Oklahoma area, maybe we see each other. But as these things get lined up, I'll start promoting them. But if you got business inquiries, I do commercials for different businesses. Folks ask me to do. That's where you want to get in touch with me. tabanddillard@gmail.com. Also, if you need a book a live show, you got an event, or you want me to be the event, holler at me. We see what we can figure out. And then of course you can always text me 501-322-6249. That's how that go. I appreciate y'all joining me on the Tab and Dillard podcast today. And hey, if you ain't dropped Meemaw's baby doll Babs Gristle into a dunk tank this week and then had to dry it off and blow dried its hair and brush it and write an apology note, you having a pretty good week. Me, I'm Tab and Dillard. This is the Tab and Dillard podcast. Till next time, y'all guys. We'll see you later.